Hello, and a massive welcome to another deep dive right here on Slow and Simple English. I'm your host, Anna.
And hello, everyone. I'm David, your co-host.
I am just absolutely thrilled you're tuning in today.
Yeah, whether you're, stuck in traffic on your morning commute.
Or maybe just standing at the kitchen sink washing dishes.
Right. Or just relaxing on the sofa. We are right here with you.
Exactly. And our mission here is actually quite simple, isn't it?
It really is.
We want to help you learn English, but not through textbooks.
No boring drills here.
Right. We want to do it through natural, easy-to-understand conversation.
We're laser focused on giving you useful vocabulary.
And improving those listening skills, but
And this is the key part.
without the stress.
Yeah, no exams, no pressure, just listening.
So for listeners who might be, new to the show, I usually play the role of the enthusiastic learner.
Right.
I just love finding new ways to say things, discovering idioms, and, well, sharing the joy of communication.
And I suppose that makes me the supportive teacher figure.
A guide.
Yeah, the guide. I like to look at the why and the how of the language.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy breaking down the grammar and the nuance so you don't just memorize words.
Right, so you can actually use them confidently in the real world.
Exactly. And today we have a topic that I think is arguably the most practical one we've ever covered.
Oh, without a doubt. Today, we're answering one simple question.
How do you describe your entire day in English?
It sounds so simple, right?
It does, but it's actually a really common challenge for learners.
At almost every level. I mean, I talk to so many learners who have these incredible vocabulary lists.
Oh yeah, they know words for international relations.
Or like specific types of exotic fruit.
Right, or advanced biology.
But then you ask them a basic question like, what do you do every day?
And they just freeze.
Total silence.
Yeah, it's what we call the fluency gap.
The fluency gap. I like that term.
You have the data, but you don't have the narrative. It's basically the translation trap.
Where you try to translate your routine from your native language into English.
Inside your head, word for word.
And you just get stuck on the mechanics of it.
Right. You worry about the grammar, or you take these long pauses just trying to find the right verb.
It completely disrupts the flow.
It really does.
Yeah.
So our goal for today's deep dive is to fix that entirely.
By the end of this session, you should be able to describe your routine clearly.
And confidently.
And naturally, you'll be able to talk about your day from the exact moment you open your eyes.
To the moment your head hits the pillow at night.
So to do this, we're going to be analyzing a specific source text today.
It's a narrative story about a woman's daily routine.
We're going to just deconstruct her story to find the most useful words and phrases.
And some psychological concepts, too.
Yeah, it looks simple on the surface, but if you look closer, it's just packed with powerful practice.
So should we dive right in?
Let's do it. So logically, everything begins in the morning.
Naturally.
In our source story, the timeline starts quite early. The woman says, every day I wake up at 6:30 in the morning.
6:30 a.m. That is definitely an early start.
It really signals some intention right from the beginning.
It does. But right here, in the very first sentence, we run into a really common point of confusion.
Oh, definitely. The text makes a big distinction between wake up and get up.
Yes, this is crucial. And it's a distinction that doesn't exist in every language.
Which is exactly why it trips people up so much.
In the source material, they make a very clear separation. To wake up means to stop sleeping.
It's just the neurological event.
Exactly. It's the moment your eyes open.
You're conscious.
Right? You hear the birds outside.
Or the traffic.
Or your blaring alarm clock. But the important part is you are still in bed.
Yes. Wake up is purely mental.
But get up is physical.
It creates this vertical image, right?
Exactly. It means you actually leave the bed, you remove the blankets, put your feet on the floor.
The cold floor.
Usually, yeah.
Yeah.
And you stand up.
That is such an important difference. I think a lot of people just use them interchangeably.
They do, but they are completely different actions.
And the source material highlights this with a super relatable situation.
The snooze factor.
Yes. The glorious snooze button.
You might wake up at 7 a.m. when your alarm goes off.
But the bed is just so warm.
And the air outside is cold.
It acts like a magnet, just keeping you there.
So you lie there for 15 minutes, basically negotiating with yourself.
We've all been there. So you wake up at 7 jaws, but you don't actually get up until 7.115.
That 15-minute gap is where the real struggle happens.
It is. And that feeling of struggle leads us perfectly to the next key word from our source.
Sleepy.
Sleepy. I really love this word. It's quite distinct from just being tired, isn't it?
It is. Tired is usually the result of exertion.
Like you're tired after running a marathon.
Or tired after a really long, stressful day at work.
Right. but sleepy.
Sleepy is a specific biological state. The source describes it perfectly.
It's that halfway state between sleeping and waking up.
Your brain just isn't fully working yet.
You're moving in slow motion.
Technically, you're awake, but your body desperately wants to go back to sleep.
Yes, it's that heavy feeling in your eyelids.
The cobwebs in your mind.
The woman in the story actually admits, I usually feel a little sleepy.
But she mentions something vital for her mindset
Yeah.
right after that.
She tries to start her day with a positive attitude.
A positive attitude. It sounds a bit like a self-help book.
A little bit, yeah.
But in the context of a daily routine, it's highly functional.
It means thinking good thoughts intentionally.
Deciding to be optimistic about the day ahead, even though you feel sleepy.
The source suggests that if you start the day happy, the whole day is just better.
It shifts your entire perspective.
It's almost like putting on a pair of glasses that makes everything look brighter.
It's a strategic choice. So once she wins the battle with the bed,
Once she has gotten up.
exactly, she
Yeah.
moves to her first actual habit.
She makes her bed.
Now, grammatically, this is an interesting phrase.
She says, I make my bed. We don't say do the bed or build the bed.
Right, it's a specific collocation. You make the bed.
Meaning you pull up the sheets, smooth the blankets, and arrange the pillows.
So it looks neat. Now, some people might argue this is a waste of time.
I have definitely had that exact thought.
Why make it if you're just going to mess it up again tonight?
Exactly. But the source points out why this matters psychologically.
It only takes a few minutes, but it makes the whole room look organized.
Organized. Great word. It means everything is in its proper place.
It implies a sense of control over your environment.
And there is a hilarious analogy in the source material to show the exact opposite of this.
The hurricane comment.
Yes. This made me laugh out loud when I read it.
The source says if you don't make your bed and blankets are just everywhere,
The room looks like a hurricane visited it.
a hurricane. It's such a strong image.
A massive storm with 100-mile-per-hour winds that destroys houses.
It implies that a messy bed makes the whole room look chaotic.
Wild and disastrous.
It really paints a picture. If your bed is a mess, your mind feels like a mess.
I have to admit, sometimes my room looks like a hurricane visited it.
We all have those days.
But I try my best.
That's what matters. So after establishing order in the bedroom, the routine moves to the bathroom.
She says, I go to the bathroom and brush my teeth.
Brush my teeth. Standard daily hygiene.
But look at the adjectives she uses to describe how she feels after.
She doesn't just say they're clean. She wants to feel fresh and clean.
Fresh is such a lovely descriptive word here.
It is. The source actually compares feeling fresh to a new apple.
Or a cool breeze.
It's that sensation of being completely revitalized and ready,
It's the sensory opposite of feeling sleepy.
like washing the sleep right away.
Exactly. It's the moment the day really begins in earnest.
And after the bathroom comes what is arguably the best part of the day,
Breakfast?
the fuel for the engine.
The woman in our story has a very simple breakfast. She breaks it down simply.
I eat toast and eggs.
Toast and eggs. It's a classic, efficient, Western-style breakfast.
You get your protein, you get your carbs, it gets the job done.
But, of course, for a lot of people, the food is totally secondary.
It's all about the liquid.
Your coffee.
The source material is quite funny about coffee. It treats it almost like a magical potion.
A vital necessity. There's this specific anecdote in our source about a character named Paul.
Oh, right, Paul.
It says one time he came to the studio and there was no coffee.
An absolute tragedy.
A total disaster. The text says he was quiet as a statue.
Quiet as a statue. That is a brilliant simile.
It paints such a clear picture.
It implies he was completely immobile, didn't move, didn't speak,
Just an empty shell of a person.
until he had his coffee.
And then
Then the source says it was like magic.
he just came alive. He couldn't stop talking.
I think a lot of our listeners can relate to Paul.
Oh, for sure. The brain just refuses to start until that first cup of coffee hits the bloodstream.
It's the switch that literally turns the lights on.
So true. Okay, let's review where we are in the routine.
We are fed.
Caffeinated,
Clean.
and our bed is nicely made.
We are ready. Now we have to transition to the outside world.
Which brings us to section 3 of our analysis. Getting ready and the commute.
The key vocabulary phrase here is get dressed.
Get dressed. This is another really common phrasal construction.
It means the action of putting on your clothes.
Notice that we don't usually say, I put my clothes on, when we describe a general routine.
Right. We just say, I get dressed.
It implies the entire process. Shirt, pants, socks, shoes.
And the woman in the story has a very specific preference for her wardrobe.
She chooses comfortable clothes.
She definitely prioritizes comfort over style.
She doesn't like tight clothes or things that are difficult to wear.
She wants to feel relaxed at work, which tells us a bit about her job environment.
Probably not wearing a formal suit.
No, definitely not.
I completely agree with her priority there. Comfort is key.
But speaking of getting dressed, there was another hilarious story in the source material.
The dangers of getting dressed while you are still sleepy?
The mismatched socks.
Yes. Emily's cautionary tale.
So, the source describes a situation where Emily was so sleepy in the morning.
She just wasn't fully awake yet.
Eyes were open, but the brain was completely off.
Exactly. So she put on her socks, but she didn't actually look at them.
She put on one blue sock and one green sock.
Two completely different colors. Quite the fashion statement.
And the funniest part, the whole anecdote,
She didn't even notice.
she went through her entire morning routine
Made her coffee, drove to work.
and only noticed when she was standing at the supermarket much later in the day.
That is so embarrassing.
It is, but as the source says, at least she was comfortable.
That's the spirit. Keep that positive attitude even when you look a bit silly.
Exactly. So she is dressed, hopefully with matching socks, and leaves home at 8 a.m.
Now comes the commute.
She says, I usually drive to work.
Drive to work. This implies she uses her own personal car.
But the source material discusses some common alternatives, since not everyone drives.
Right. Some people take the bus.
And taking the bus has its own set of advantages.
It can be quite nice. You don't have to focus on the road or the traffic.
You can just look out the window and watch the world go by.
Or listen to music. It's a very passive way to travel.
And others might walk to work if they live close enough.
The source notes that walking is really good for your legs. Built-in exercise.
Yeah, but there is one more alternative mentioned during the banter at the end of the source text.
The bicycle.
Yes. The character Paul is trying to get more exercise, so he rides his bike to the studio.
But the best part of that story isn't the bike itself. It's the visual detail about his gear.
The helmet.
He wears a bright yellow safety helmet.
Bright yellow. We aren't talking about a cool, sleek black helmet.
Or a subtle gray one. We are talking about neon yellow.
You literally cannot miss it.
The source really emphasizes the idiom, safety first.
Even though it might look a little goofy or ruin his hair.
The important thing is that cars can see him from a block away.
Absolutely. When you're on a bicycle, sharing the road with heavy metal cars, visibility is survival.
Being seen is being safe.
No accidents for Paul.
So whether you drive, walk, take the bus, or bike in a neon yellow helmet.
You eventually arrive at your destination.
And that brings us to section 4, the work day and evening.
According to our story, work starts at 9:00 a.m.
Standard business hours. And here is a word that is incredibly useful for business English.
Colleagues.
Colleagues. Can you break that down for us? Is it just the same as friends?
Not exactly.
Yeah.
Simply put, colleagues are the people you work with.
Okay.
You could say coworkers, which is also very common, but colleagues sounds a bit more professional.
The source defines them really nicely as work friends.
I like that distinction. Work friends.
You might not invite them over to your house for dinner on the weekend.
But you spend all day with them.
The story says she answers emails and talks to her colleagues.
It mentions that they tell jokes to make the day go faster.
That social aspect of a job is huge.
Having good relationships with your colleagues makes a massive difference in how fast the day feels.
If you're laughing together, time just flies.
Then the clock hits 12:00.
Noon.
Yes, noon, midday, time for the lunch break.
The source provides a really funny contrast here between two types of lunch.
First, there's the healthy meal, which the woman in the story usually goes for.
Things like a fresh salad or some fruit.
And then there's the temptation,
The delicious but unhealthy option.
the pizza.
The source admits that while pizza might not be the best choice for every single day,
It is undeniably delicious.
it's all about balance, right? Maybe a salad on Monday, pizza on Friday.
Precisely. So the workday eventually finishes.
And now we are into the evening routine. The sun is going down. She's back home.
She says, after work, I like to exercise.
This connects right back to the bicycle idea.
Exercise is physically tiring. You sweat, your muscles ache.
But the source makes a really interesting point about how it makes her feel.
She says it helps her feel strong and relaxed.
Relaxed is such an interesting word to use there.
It is. Usually
Yeah.
we think of sitting on the sofa watching TV as relaxing.
But physical exercise releases tension. It actively gets rid of the stress from the day.
And the source adds a vital mental benefit too.
It says exercise helps clear the mind of numbers and emails.
That is so true. It helps you transition from work mode into home mode.
It washes away all the day's stress so you can actually enjoy your evening.
Finally, the day is winding down. It's nighttime.
She has a very specific routine for this, too. She doesn't just crash into bed.
No, she reads a book.
I read a book for a few minutes.
The source compares this habit to the modern alternative,
Looking at a phone.
which is very good advice, not just for English practice, but for life in general.
The source highlights that looking at a phone screen,
That harsh blue light.
it makes it incredibly hard to sleep.
It basically tricks your brain into thinking the sun is still up.
But reading a physical book is peaceful.
It quiets the brain down.
It sends a signal to your body that the day is officially done.
And then she goes to bed at 10:30 p.m.
That seems like a very reasonable, healthy time.
It ensures she gets a full 8 hours of sleep.
And the source concludes that sleep is the secret.
The secret to what, exactly?
The secret to the next day's positive attitude.
It's a complete cycle. If you sleep well, you wake up happy.
If you wake up happy, you have a good day.
It really is a full circle. From waking up to sleeping, every single step affects the next one.
So should we recap the flow of this routine just to really cement the vocabulary?
Let's do it. Step 1, wake up. The mental opening of the eyes.
Step 2, get up. The physical action of leaving the warm bed.
Step 3, make the bed, organizing the room so it doesn't look like a hurricane hit it.
Step 4, brush your teeth and get dressed, feeling fresh, clean, and comfortable. Step 5, breakfast and coffee. That vital energy that turns you from a statue into a speaking human.
Step 6, the commute. Whether you drive, take the bus, or bike with a bright yellow helmet.
Step 7, work with your colleagues, your work friends.
Step 8, taking a lunch break at noon.
Step 9, exercise after work to clear the mind.
Step 10, read a book, avoiding the phone screen.
And finally, step 11, sleep.
It sounds like a lovely balanced day when you put it all together like that.
It really does. Structured, healthy, and productive.
Now, for everyone listening, it is your turn.
We want you to practice. Don't just listen passively.
Participate. Think about your own daily routine.
If you can, write the word routine in the comments if you're listening on a platform that allows comments.
Or just say it out loud to yourself right now in the car or the kitchen.
And ask yourself these questions. Do you make your bed every morning?
Or is your room currently looking like a hurricane?
Do you have a bright yellow safety helmet? Or do you drive?
Do you ever accidentally wear mismatched socks because you're too sleepy?
We genuinely want to know. Try to describe your day using the vocabulary we explored.
Words like wake up, get up, colleagues, noon, and sleepy.
Even if you just practice building one single sentence in your head right now.
That is progress.
Remember, as we always say, even a little bit of practice is a big victory.
Absolutely. Keep building those language habits.
But before we go, I want to leave you with a thought to mull over.
Ooh, a provocative thought to end the session.
Exactly. Think about this. What if the language you use to describe your day actually changes how you experience it?
Oh, that's interesting.
If you call your commute a passive break instead of traffic, or your coworkers colleagues instead of just people at the office,
Does it change your actual positive attitude?
something to explore on your own tomorrow morning.
I love that.
Thank you all so much for tuning in to Slow and Simple English. If you enjoyed this deep dive, please subscribe so you don't miss our next topic.
We truly enjoy exploring these linguistic details with you.
We will see you next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone.